Algebra 1 students, welcome to your 8.4 notes, multiplying polynomials in the special cases. The big idea is that there are special rules you can use to find the square of a binomial and the products of a sum and difference of a binomial. So squaring a binomial, right over here we have a plus b squared is going to equal a plus b times a plus b. And so when we multiply that out, you can kind of see a formula developing there. And then also when you're doing the product of a sum and difference, you've got basically a formula developing there as well, and that's the one where we've got that center couple of terms that basically disappear. They basically cancel each other out or knock each other out there. So then you end up with simply a squared minus b squared, or some people call that the difference of two squares. So we have one more formula that we kind of need to add to this. So the other formula we need to add to this page is a minus b squared. And when we do that, we're going to get a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So here we go, number one, we've got x minus 3 squared. So when we use our formulas here, we're going to end up with an x squared, and then we're going to have a minus 2ab. So we're going to end up with a negative 2 times x, and then we're going to multiply that times the 3 as well. So that's going to give us a negative 6x, and then we're going to end up with a positive 9, the 3 squared. So that is how we use the formula for number one. On number two, we're going to end up with, we've got 3x plus 4 squared. And so on that one, we're going to use our formula, and we're going to have 3x squared. We're going to add 2ab, so we've got 2 times 3x times 4. And then we're going to end up with 4 squared, so we've got a 16 there. Simplify this, we're going to end up with a 9x squared plus 2 times 3 is going to be 6. And then we're going to multiply that times 4, so we're going to end up with a 24x for our second term, and then the 16 comes down as well. That one's in standard form, and we are done there. Okay, so number 3 is in the form of a minus b squared, right? So in this one, we're going to end up with an a squared. We're going to have a minus 2ab, so we're going to have 2 times a times 7. Okay, and then we're also going to have a positive b squared at the end of this, so 7 times 7 is 49. And on this one, we're not done yet because we've got to multiply 2 and 7 together. So the standard form of this particular problem is going to be a squared minus 14a plus 49. And now we're done with number 3. Okay, here we go. We're going to use these, we're going to do these problems without using a calculator. So for number 4, we have 17 squared, which is the same thing as 20 minus 3 squared. So using our formulas that we have, we're basically going to have a squared, which is 20, minus 2ab, so we have 2 times 20 times 3, and then we have 3 squared at the end is going to be 9. Okay, so when we do this, all we have to think about is 2 squared, and then we can add 2 zeros to the end of it. So that's going to be 400. 2 times 2 is 4, add a 0, we've got 40. And then when we do 40 times 3, all we really need to think about is the 4 times the 3, so we're going to end up with 120. And 9 is still there. So 400 minus 120, we're going to have 280 plus 9, so we're going to end up with 289 for number 4. Number 5, 61 squared is the same as saying that we have 60 plus 1 squared. So on this one, we're going to have a squared, so 60 squared, plus 2ab, so 2 times 60 times 1, plus b squared, which is in this case going to be 1. So all we have to think about is the 6's. So if we square 6, we're going to have 36. Then we need to add 2 zeros to that. 2 times 60, well, that's 120. And then 1 extra 1. So on this one, we're going to end up with 3721. All right, here we go with number 6. We have 39 squared. It's basically the same as writing 40 minus 1. And so on that one, we're going to get 40 squared minus 2ab, so we're going to have 2 times 40, and we're going to have a 1. And then we're going to add b squared, which is simply 1. Let's give ourselves some more room again. Okay. On the 40 squared, we don't need a calculator for this. We just need to know that we're going to take 16 and we're going to add a couple of zeros. And then also, on this one, we're just going to worry about the 2 times the 4. So we're going to end up with 80, and we're going to add 1 back to it. And we can see here that we're going to end up with 1521. All right, number 7 is that special case where we have the difference of squares here. So basically, this is that case where if we multiplied this out, we're going to end up with a negative AB plus AB, and those basically knock each other out. So in this particular case, we're basically just going to have a squared minus b squared. And we're done. So for number 8, we have another set where it's the difference of squares. So on this one, I'm going to add a little extra step that I didn't show you on number 7, but it's basically the same type of problem. We're going to end up with a negative AB and a positive AB that cancel each other out. And so we end up with a difference of squares, a squared minus b squared. And so in this particular case, I'm going to show you just that little step there. It's basically the same as what we did over here, but it's a little more complex. Not too bad though, we can handle this. 2 squared is 4, and then we end up with an x squared there, and then we're going to end up with 9y squared. So again, not too bad on that. Number 9. This is another case where we have the difference of squares. So we're going to end up with simply a y squared minus 11 squared, which is 121. Now we're going to run into some more of these, or we're going to use some mental math. And so on these, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out that 43 is basically we're not going to figure out, we already know 43 is basically 40 plus 3. And then 37 is 40 minus 3. So look at that. We have the difference of squares. All we have to do is take 40 and square it, and 3 and square it. Let's give ourselves some extra space down here to work on these. So again, all we have to do is worry about those 4's and add a couple of zeros to it. So 4 squared is 16, add 2 zeros. We know what 3 squared is. Hopefully we can handle that, and then we end up with 1591. Okay, number 11 is 84 times 96. That's the same as saying 90 minus 6. And 90 plus 6. So when we do that, we're going to end up with the difference of squares. So we can do 90 squared minus 6 squared. And we know 9 times 9 is 81, so we just need to tack on a couple of zeros. And hopefully we know what 6 squared is. And so all we have to do at this point is do a little bit of subtraction, and we can figure this one out without using a calculator. Kind of fun. Alright, so this one is basically the same as writing 70 plus 2 and 70 minus 2. On this one we're going to end up with a 70 squared, and we're going to subtract 2 squared because we have a difference of squares here. So on this one all we need to focus on is those 7s. So we're going to do 49, add a couple of zeros, subtract 4, and we know now that 72 times 68 is 4896. Pretty fun to do. You can do some complex calculations without using a calculator, and impress your friends when you're out or something. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our 8.4 notes, and so hopefully you come to class ready to do a lot of work and calculate things without using a calculator and have a lot of fun. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.